This is Northern Light for Friday, August 14th. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. The Adirondack Park Agency had a complicated debate over a logging project in southern St. Lawrence County at its meeting yesterday.
And then you should see what happens to this clear cut in 5 years when you can't walk through it. It's full of rapids, it's full of ground birds. It's being used by deer and by moose.
Also on the show, wooden trolls have taken over Tupper Lake, and they're on a mission to help us reconnect with our environment.
That's what I'm looking forward to this summer, is to see what kind of fun they draw out of everyone when they get here and what they encourage them to do.
John Warren checks on trail conditions for a beautiful summer weekend in the Adirondacks. And we have a preview of a festival that's celebrating a long-running concert series in Lake Placid.
All that's coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us. Support for Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio comes from the AuSable Freshwater Center, opening people's eyes to the complexity of healthy freshwater systems and how to live respectfully with them. More information at ausablecenter.org. And from Homespun Occasions, engaging people in traditional square and contra dancing with live fiddle music. Details about booking for special events and school programs at homespun.biz. This is Northern Light. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. The Adirondack Park Agency Board approved a new ADA-accessible boat launch in Saranac Lake yesterday. The APA also had a complicated debate over a logging project in southern St. Lawrence County. Emily Russell has the details.
Lime Timber Company owns more than 250,000 acres of land in the Adirondacks. One of its largest tracts is known as the Colton-Piercefield Tract. It's in southern St. Lawrence County. That's where the company wants to log about 680 acres. The Adirondack Park Agency's Aaron Zeman presented the project to the APA board on Thursday. He showed maps of where Lime Timber plans to log.
Zooming in a little closer now, you can see Route 3 moving from east to west, the village of Tupper Lake to the east, Cranberry Lake to the west.
As Zeman explained, the forest land was damaged in the 1998 ice storm. So Lime Timber wants to harvest nearly all of the damaged overstory and turn it into pulp. Zeman showed photos from that property.
On the left is a maple tree. You can see this crook at the top that diminishes its value as a log tree. On the right are a pair of yellow birch trees, and you see the curvature in these stems as they bow out towards the bottom. That curvature diminishes the value of those trees.
By logging most of the land there, Zeman told the board that would leave room for the younger understory of trees to grow into a healthy forest. There are strict laws in the Adirondacks about cutting down trees. You can't clear-cut a property bigger than 25 acres without a permit. APA board member Rush Holt pointed out that fact.
There has to be a good reason to do more than that. And there has to be no undue damage.
Holt said he was worried about the impact that the logging project would have on biodiversity in the area. He also posed a broader question about the APA's commitment to reviewing projects through a scientific lens, looking at data and other projections. Holt wondered whether the agency had used that approach with this project. Aaron Zeman responded, saying that the APA does take a scientific approach to projects within the context of development. He also urged Holt to consider the longer-term impact of the logging plan.
They're changing the forest from an older cereal stage to a younger stage, which will have benefits for a different suite of animals than is currently there, a different suite of wildlife. It will be different, but it will still be forested area acting as forested area.
APA board member Benita Law Zhao also jumped in. She questioned the environmental impact of the logging plan. For about 15 minutes, the board went back and forth over the issue. Near the end of the debate, Jerry Delaney chimed in. Delaney isn't a voting member, but represents the APA's local government review board. He urged Rush Holt to visit the logging area in the future, and Delaney suggested that the land would be in better shape than before it was logged.
And then you should see what happens to this clear cut in 5 years when you can't walk through it. It's full of rabbits, it's full of ground birds, it's being used by deer and by moose.
At the end of the debate, the project went up for a vote. Rush Holt and Benita Lajiao voted against it. Everyone else was in favor, so the project got approved. The APA board also learned about plans for a new ADA accessible boat launch in Saranac Lake. The village has spent years trying to decide how to redevelop Baldwin Park right along Lake Flower. It currently has a few asphalt tennis courts that don't get much use. The village wants to rip up those courts, build a pavilion, and construct a canoe and kayak launch that's accessible to people with disabilities. The APA's Benjamin Amos presented the project to the board.
So this accessible launch allows a person to launch or dock their vessel by pushing forward on the aluminum rails that extend from the rollers to the water.
Board member Art Lucy described the project as thoughtful and environmentally responsible, but he wondered whether there would be enough on-site parking. Amos responded.
It is hard to forecast if there'll be an increase in use. This is an existing public park which has some, waterfront access there without any formal parking. There's just a road shoulder.
Amos said the plan calls for 9 new parking spots along the road. The project needs APA approval, in part because it would involve building in wetlands. Ultimately, APA staff determined that the new boat launch would provide, quote, essential public benefit with minimal impacts to the wetlands or the shoreline. The project went up for a vote and was unanimously approved by the APA board. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio, Raybrook.
New York may sue the federal government over a plan for immigration agents to use gloves that deliver an electric shock. The Trump administration plans to spend millions of dollars for ICE agents to get gloves that are like a handheld taser. They deliver an electric shock when an officer puts their hand on a person's skin. New York State Attorney General Letitia James said on Wednesday that the technology appears to violate the law and the Constitution.
Of course, we are outraged. And in the event that a New Yorker is injured as a result of these gloves, obviously there will be a private right of action as well as action from the state of New York. You can best be assured of that.
And Governor Kathy Hochul says the state is studying the issue and could sue.
That appears to me on its face to be a violation of civil rights. To cause that kind of physical harm to an individual, regardless of what the offense may be.
A manual for the device says it's not to be used on children, seniors, pregnant women, and people with severe disabilities. The manual says the device is safe if used properly, but it can also increase blood pressure, heart rates or rhythms, breathing, or other factors that can cause sudden death.
A state lawmaker from New York City will be traveling upstate to organize opposition to data centers. Jimmy Vielkind reports for the New York Public News Network.
State Senator Kristen Gonzalez sponsors a broad moratorium on developing data centers. The chair of the Senate's Technology Committee says she wants her trip to raise awareness of communities where new server farms are proposed.
I really believe that we can set a standard for responsible data center development, but not only that, a standard for fighting AI data centers and big tech corporate greed here in New York for the rest of the country.
Gonzalez plans to visit Buffalo, the Finger Lakes, and the Stamp Industrial Park in Genesee County. She's hoping Governor Hochul will sign her moratorium bill. The Democratic governor already issued an executive order pausing construction on large data centers for a year. Tech companies say the moratoriums cost jobs. In Albany, I'm Jimmy Vielkind for the New York Public News Network.
This is NCPR.
You're listening to Northern Light, only here on North Country Public Radio. It's 10 after 8. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Stick around. The free concert series Songs at Mirror Lake turns 20 years old this summer, and it's celebrating with a big party tomorrow in Lake Placid.
That's coming up in just a few minutes right here on Northern Light, which is supported by Barstow Subaru in Potsdam, committed to the safety and security of all-wheel drive. Details at barstowsubaru.com. And from AJA Architecture and Planning in Glens Falls, providing architecture, planning, and interior design services for residential, commercial, and community spaces throughout the North Country. ajaarchitecture.com. And from the Adirondack Community Foundation, offering donor-advised funds and other charitable giving tools to help individuals and families support the causes they care about. adkcommunityfoundation.org. We've been hearing music from Kurt Steger out of Saranac Lake. Six giant trolls have taken over Tupper Lake. While they might be making a buzz on your social media feeds, you can search for these magical creatures in person among the trees, trails, and forests of the Wild Center. The wooden trolls are part of a traveling art exhibit that pushes us humans to reconnect with our environment and, in turn, take better care of it. Catherine Wheeler has more.
At the edge of the Wild Center's parking lot, a giant wooden troll has hauled a red smart car over to her resting spot.
This is Rosa Sunfinger. Rosa is the botanical troll.
That's Nick Gunn. He's the director of marketing and visitor experience at the Wild Center in Tupper Lake.
She has pulled this car from the parking lot back to where she's kneeling down, and she's ripped the top off.
Rosa's hand hovers over the car, her thick fingers just grazing the wildflowers she's planted inside. A smile is tight across her face, accentuating chubby cheeks. Rosa and her 5 friends are a part of a traveling exhibit called Trolls Save the Humans that's now at the Wild Center. Gunn says these trolls are special for a few reasons. For one, they're made entirely out of trash.
Stuff that you would literally find in a dumpster. It is old, discarded pallet wood that is weathered and beat up, but I think that there's a certain beauty in the fact that it is just all made out of garbage.
That's really the point of the trolls. They're the work of Danish artist Thomas Dambo.
The last 12 years, I've spent my life building almost 200 sculptures in 19 countries around the world in a giant troll treasure hunt.
Dambo created these trolls and the fairy tales surrounding them to teach people that trash isn't worth throwing away entirely.
The biggest problem we have in our civilization is that we are emptying our world from resources while we're drowning in trash. And the solution to both problems is screamingly obvious. The one is the solution for the other, right? It is like use the resources we have again and again and again, rather than suffocating our world with them.
While most of Dambo's trolls have permanent homes around the world, these 6 move around, spreading the message. Each troll has to find its own hideaway at the Wild Center, but their leader isn't shy. Rania Redeye is right out front. I was there on setup day. A crew hoists her orange-toned head onto her shingled gray trunk. 2 front teeth peek out of her warm smile, and there's the teeniest glint in her eye. With one hand, Rania has planted the flag of her trolls. The other is open, here to welcome you, but also kind of like a hug. Wild Center volunteer Terry Goodenbauer beams up at her.
She looks like a whole lot of fun, welcoming all the kids, old and young, in here to explore and do all of that. She's so natural being here.
Goodenbauer snaps a few videos of Rania and sends them to her 6-year-old grandson, who's visiting this summer. Goodenbauer says she thinks the trolls will wow him, and she hopes they bring out the wonder in all of us.
That's what I'm looking forward to this summer, is to see what kind of fun they draw out of everyone when they get here and what they encourage them to do. For her, she just looks like she's the leader of the hike, and she is ready to show everyone all over the place. She is just full of energy and spirit, and she's ready to take everyone out to meet all of her friends.
One of those pals, Ibby Pip, has taken over the museum's music forest.
There's over 200 birdhouses on this trail right now. It makes for like a pretty stunning visual.
Orange, purple, blue, yellow, and green birdhouses transform a run-of-the-mill pine forest trail. Nick Gunn says Dambo's crew built some of these, but the Wild Center also partnered with local middle and high schoolers to construct dozens more. They're posted all over the trees, making it seem like you've wandered into a fairy tale instead of the Adirondacks.
It looks like it jumped off the page of a children's story and kind of creates a setting that it's hard not to feel whimsical and like happy being out here.
As you walk deeper into the forest, music slowly envelops you. The Wild Center commissioned a composer to create a soundtrack for Ibby Pip's Woods. A mix of classical notes, hammering, and recorded birdsong harmonizes with the real outdoors.
It is very particularly mixed so that each track gets its own speaker, so it crescendos, and like you're going to hear things out of the left-hand side of this trail, and you're going to hear birds chirping on the right-hand side, and then it mixes in with actual bird sounds that you're hearing.
While the trolls are on a mission to change us, they're also shaking up the Adirondacks. Dambo's trolls are global icons, and this is the first time they've come to New York State.
So we're really proud of that, but it also is an opportunity to like show off the Adirondacks to people who haven't been here before that are coming specifically to see these trolls.
Since the exhibit opened in June, Gunn says the museum is seeing a 155% increase in visitors compared to last year. People have come from all 50 states, Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and 11 different countries. Gunn says it's a sign that the mission of Dambo's art and the Wild Center are in sync.
These things travel around and they're placed at a botanical garden or a zoo, right? Somewhere where the ground is very well manicured. And, and they're up on a pedestal and they're behind like a rope or a physical barrier. But here, I think the thing that got us excited about it and the thing that got Thomas excited about it, quite frankly, is they're hidden in the middle of the woods. And I think that's where these things were meant to be in a place like this.
Gunn says the two fit so well together. The Wild Center is lobbying Dambo to build a permanent troll on the grounds. There's still plenty of time to visit the traveling trolls. They're at the Wild Center through October, welcoming you into their world to remind you to care for ours. Catherine Wheeler, North Country Public Radio in Tupper Lake.
You can get a peek at the trolls at our website, ncpr.org.
The New York Power Authority will consider giving Corning's plant outside of Canton $1.8 million for an expansion. According to the Watertown Daily Times, the funding would be part of a $10 million project to repurpose a warehouse in a ceramic manufacturing facility. Corning management says the project will create 5 new jobs and support the existing 344 jobs at the plant. The funding would come from the New York Power Proceeds Allocation Act, which uses money from power generation at the hydropower dam on the St. Lawrence River for local economic development projects. Corning says the funding will be a long-term investment, strengthen local taxes, and reinforce the plant's position as a high-level industry in St. Lawrence County. The New York Power Authority trustees will vote on the funding next month.
Residents on a dead-end street in Watertown may finally be getting some relief from longstanding rusty water problems. The Watertown Daily Times reports that residents of Pauling Street have complained for years about orange-tinted water coming from their pipes. They say they've been forced to buy bottled water to drink and cook with. City council members were presented with 4 potential solutions this week. City engineer Tom Campos says the simplest would be to extend the water main on Pauling Street and to connect it to the Gotham Street water main. It's also the cheapest option with a cost of less than $130,000. The state health department would have to approve any water main work. Construction could start next year.
And the city of Ogdensburg is considering 5 proposals to redevelop a former paper mill site on the St. Lawrence River. The city has owned the Diamond National property since 1992. The brownfield site was cleaned up through a $3 million project. Ogdensburg native Scott Matson posted his proposal on Facebook, a $50 million resort with a hotel, marina, and boat storage facility. According to the Daily Times, another known developer, GJK Associates, attended city council meetings and is seeking approval for its own resort site, but it missed the deadline for submitting an application. The city is currently reviewing the 5 proposals and hasn't yet released them to the public. This is NCPR.
You are listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Stick around after the show for Bird Note. That's coming up at 8:42. With our eyes to the skies, sunset in Speculator is at 8:02 tonight, and the moon is a waxing crescent at 5% to full.
You can expect pretty dry conditions as you head into the weekend. There's a possible chance of a light shower this afternoon, but for the most part, should be sunny skies today and tomorrow with milder temperatures, highs pretty seasonable in the low to mid 70s throughout the region. As we head into the day on Sunday, there is a chance for some showers and thunderstorms Sunday afternoon. At last check, it was 63 degrees in Malone, 56 degrees in Newcomb and in Racket Lake, 66 degrees in Cape Vincent, and 66 degrees in Glens Falls. And for a look at how all of this impacts the trail conditions in the Adirondacks this weekend, here's John Warren with the New York Almanac.
In the Adirondack high peaks on Saturday, the sun will rise at about 6 a.m. and set at about 8 p.m. The forecast is calling for pleasant weather through Saturday. Those Saturday night temperatures could get down to the low 40s in some protected Adirondack valleys. A chance of showers returns on Sunday. High peak summit temperatures are expected to remain in the 50s through the weekend, with wind chills mostly in the mid-40s. Rivers and streams are running at normal levels for this time of year, heading towards seasonal lows. The Hudson River is expected to be at about 2 3/4 feet on the gauge at North Creek through the weekend. At Piercefield, the Racket River gauge is forecast to be at about 4.5 feet. Lake Champlain remains at about 94 3/4 feet, and lake water temperatures there remain mostly in the mid-70s, the same temperature as the water of Mirror Lake. With the nice weather expected, plan that boat launches, trailheads, and camping areas will be busy this weekend. Down in the Pigeon Lake Wilderness, the shallow lake trail is impassable due to beaver activity. Beavers have also flooded part of the Northville Placid Trail in the West Canada Lakes Wilderness between West and Mud Lakes. A reroute has been marked there. The Lake Placid boat launch will be closed August 18th and 19th to seal the June pavement repairs. And finally this week, Fork Lake Road from North Point Road to the Fork Lake Campground will be closed to all traffic starting September 11th for a bridge replacement project. Access to the campground parking and boat launch will be closed starting September 8th. Those are the outdoor conditions in the Adirondacks this weekend. For North Country Public Radio, this is John Warren from the New York Almanac. Online at newyorkalmanac.com.
Well, it really isn't summer in the North Country without a social calendar packed with free outdoor music shows. Just this week, you can head out to Cape Vincent, Norwood, or Wilmington's community parks for some live music. And this summer, one music series in the Adirondacks is celebrating a big milestone. Songs at Mirror Lake is turning 20 years old. That's 2 decades of national touring acts, local bands, and lots of groovin' on Tuesdays at Mids Park in Lake Placid. To celebrate, organizers are throwing a special anniversary festival tomorrow at the North Elba Athletic Fields. Tim Reynolds has been volunteering with Songs at Mirror Lake for a decade, and he says it's shaping up to be a fun day. There will be food, craft vendors, and of course, lots of music.
Our headliner is the Devin Allman Project. Devin is the son of famous Greg Allman, and he's had a very successful career himself. We also have the North Mississippi All-Stars and the Adam Ezra Group. It's going to be a real celebration of what we've done because all of the bands are bands that we've asked back that were very popular when they played on the Tuesday night series.
Attendees can wander between the 2 stages tomorrow. There will be a couple more acts too, including the Rob Ballou Band and the Sven Kurth Huge Trio.
And Reynolds says he thinks Songs at Mirror Lake stands out amongst the North Country Summer Concert Series. He says folks pile into the park on Tuesday evenings, bringing along chairs and blankets. Some folks even pull up onto the lake in a kayak or canoe to take it into the show. And you can actually see a picture of that right now. John Beckman, a listener from Lake Placid, sent in a photo that was featured as a photo of the day in the last few days of that very scene. And he says, they came by land and water. Listeners crowded Midge Park and the nearby part of Mirror Lake in Lake Placid to hear a recent band, Assembly of Dust, which performed as the in the Songs at Mirror Lake music series. Such a fun day earlier this summer. And Reynolds says, even if the act is big, it still feels like a small community show.
It's something that, we do for each other. We, in case of, I live here in Lake Placid, and the other folks live in the area, the other folks on the board and the volunteers, we're kind of doing it for the town. We're doing it for our community. And it feels good. I look around and I see people dancing and having fun and singing. And it's like, wow, we made this happen.
That was Tim Reynolds. He's a volunteer with Songs at Mirror Lake. And the organization is celebrating 20 years of free music shows in Lake Placid. And again, the community, everyone, you are invited to come out and celebrate tomorrow from 2 to 9 at the North Elba Athletic Fields in Lake Placid. It's free. Everyone is welcome. No tickets necessary.
And we have a little bit of a preview today from the Rob Ballou Band. It's a roots and blues jam Americana band from the Capital Region. The band has a set this Saturday at 5:45-ish and at the Songs at Mirror Lake anniversary party. And here's a song off the band's latest EP. It's called Watching the World.
Sitting in the morning sunshine, watching the sailors ride the tide. I'm out to sea. Never seem to get it right. Always falling for the fading lights. How'd I end up sitting here with you?
Watching the World from the Rob Ballou Band. They're playing this Saturday, tomorrow, at the North Elba Athletic Fields in Lake Placid as a celebration of 20 years of free music shows with the Songs at Mirror Lake. That's it for the show today. I'm Catherine Wheeler.
And I'm Monica Sandreski. Have a good one.